What up, what up, what up? Welcome to a brand new edition of Whatever We Want with J and K. He is J Jamal Sterling.
She is K Kalila Elliott. A special episode, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. We just came back, Jamal and the family and I just came back from seeing Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So this entire show, before we go any further, spoiler alert. If you have not watched the movie, back away from the podcast, come back to the podcast once you've seen the movie, because we're about to spoil it big time.
We're spoiling every damn thing. And Lee, I just thought about this. Lee's got to edit it. That means it's going to be spoiled for him too.
Well, listen, I told him he could come with us.
He should have came.
Poorly. So let's get it. We literally just walked out the movie theater. We're just getting home, and everybody's ready to talk about it. We haven't talked about it at all. So
we're in the car, quiet. It's like,
right.
Wife tried to talk about it twice. Like,
what I do?
Don't say nothing.
Okay. Initial reactions.
I thought it was good. I didn't think it wasn't. I'm not gonna say that it was groundbreaking. It was good though. It was a good movie. I like the original better, of course. I think they paid great tribute. I felt like it was a good story, but I didn't leave like, wow.
Right.
There were moments. There were moments where just like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And usually those moments were moments when they're paying tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Those moments were really well done. But they managed to find the line between being gratuitous. But at the same time, not forgetting about them, right?
Right.
So it was really like, once they got into the story, everybody really got into the story and left it alone a little bit. But the beginning and the end, at the very beginning, for me, it was the Marvel stamp. Like, so when they did the funeral at the very beginning, which was, and for the funeral was fine. I was okay. The Marvel stamp, for those who know, the Marvel stamp, when the Marvel promo comes up, it usually shows all the pictures of all the characters, and it was all Chadwick Boseman. Then that's when my eyes started to get sweaty.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the same initial reaction, which is I liked it. I thought it was a great movie, but similarly, I was like, the first one was so like, we were in the first one like, oh my God, what is happening? So I didn't have, and I will say, to be fair, I didn't have that expectation of it, right? I didn't put that expectation on, because once you've already created a franchise, you can't go back and recreate that magic, right? Like you can only hope for it to get, to continue on. So like you, I think that they did a really great job at obviously showing respect to Chadwick Boseman and honoring the legend of T'Challa, and it's so interesting because in the last few weeks, as we've been getting ready to see the movie come out, of course, I've been reading what different folks have to say, different commentary. And it's so interesting how many of the fans, so-called fans who have been critical of either Marvel's choice to not recast Black Panther, or even, spoiler alert, y'all, seriously, we're about to spoil this, or when people were hearing about the possibility of Shuri taking on the mantle, Shuri played by Letitia Wright. And so it has been really interesting to me. I'm from the world of, I totally understand, or not the world, but I understand our community, and I understand our community's connection and reverence. We so rarely, first of all, what Chadwick did as T'Challa was groundbreaking. Like he literally represented so much to our community. So to try and recast him would have been super tricky to do to begin with. And you and I kind of, even before seeing the movie, kind of were assuming that maybe Shuri would take on the mantle, because it is true to the comic book.
It follows the comic book.
Absolutely.
See, for me, the one thing that has to be addressed at the very beginning is Ryan Coogler should get the props for, imagine being over a project and then imagine you're in post-production, like you're in the not post-production.
You've already written it.
The script is written. Everybody's getting prepped and stuff. They've already started filming stuff, and then lead dies, so like,
and not just your lead, your friend,
right? Your lead, your friend, and so you have to go back and literally rewrite a whole brand new story, a brand new script, which is something that is not quickly or easily done in Hollywood, and not usually done successfully.
I was just gonna say, and definitely not done to the level of quality, because I will say that, let's say we've never seen the first Black Panther, this movie could stand alone in and of itself. I do believe that. I do feel like it's more impactful and compelling because we fell in love with T'Challa. So I think that it makes sense. But let's just say we had never seen the first Black Panther. This movie is a good movie in and of itself. So
he threaded the needle well. He threaded the needle very well.
What I will say is, and I think we talked about this when the first one came out, one of the things that I think makes this particular franchise and Marvel so special, and there have been a lot of reviews that have been saying this is the most heartfelt, most emotional Marvel movie there has been. And I think part of that is that first of all, the actors that have been cast in this film are like, these are not lightweights, right? Like these are folks who know what they're doing, and they're able to take, we were talking last week about James Cameron making these digs at Marvel movies, and I'm sitting here like, go watch this and tell me there's not emotion and there's not high stakes.
I wish I could have been in a movie theater. They did an Avatar preview, and like you could feel me in Kay's eyes.
It took everything in me not to reach over. It's like, James Cameron.
I wonder if
here's your preview playing before a superhero movie.
I wonder if somebody's going to try and invade the Avatar community and is going to bring emotion. Like, we know the plot already, and it's going to make billions and billions of dollars. But
absolutely, it's absolutely so
Marvel
insane. So I do want to kind of get into some of the specifics of the movie, right? Like, obviously we've given our just general opinion, but
let's go point for point from the very beginning, right?
I was just gonna say, let's roll with it. So right out the gate, there's the funeral scene. Y'all see me in my funeral white. Jamal and them call it my weight in the water dress. But I paid my respects. All of the ancestors. You got your Black Panther gear on, and the family was all teed up and everything. We were actually coordinated. We had purple and white. So it was
purple and white all over the place. Got my Chadwick Boseman on. Let's go.
But yeah, so we get in there. The first opening scene is as emotional as we anticipated to be. It literally is the preparation of in the opening scene, we find out T'Challa is at that point on his deathbed. And then, of course, we see that he passes, and then the family goes through that rite of passage, that ceremony.
The thing I thought of on this moment, this is one thing we did. We went and saw this in a movie theater that was pretty empty. Like, we managed to find an empty theater in a suburb. I really wonder what that experience would have been like in a Black movie theater that was packed. Yeah, I wonder if the ushers would have had to come out and
legit. I think we talked about this. Like, I'm planning on going to see it definitely again, and I'm definitely going to go see it with some Black folks, like a lot of Black folks. But yes, we looked up somehow. The Sterlings and I looked up, found a random theater that actually played the movie at 3:30 on. So the movie opened on the 11th. But we actually got tickets to see it on the 10th. So, and when we got there, there was like us, an older white couple, and two Black women.
There was less than 10 people in the room. It is great for me. I love that.
Had a private screening.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that opening scene with the funeral procession is as emotional as you think it will be. I will say, to your point, I was emotional, but that's not what took me down in the beginning. What took me down was that Marvel opening. And they did that. I'm trying to remember when right after he passed, when they were doing the specials and stuff, they had done that, but I don't even think that it was as much of him as it was in this one. I feel like they added more stuff for this particular opening, because I was like, whoa, I don't even remember that one. Yeah.
And remember, like, it's a total silence. Total silence. It's just,
and that's
Marvel.
What makes it hard.
Oh my God. You can hear people sniffling and stuff. And it's just really,
my goddaughter turned around and looked at me like 5 times, like, really, lady? It's really not that deep. So that definitely had an impact for sure.
But after the beautiful tribute, they managed to jump into the story well.
Right away.
And I put down, like, for me, the movie, like, at the very beginning, if I had a critique, and I understand because you have to rewrite a movie, there's a lot of loading up plot wise you have to do, right? So loading up plot wise meant that there was a lot less action in the very beginning. I think there's probably like maybe one action sequence in the first 40 minutes of the thing. And I get it. He's setting up a whole new story. But if I had to make a critique, it'd been like finding more ways to get them active early on.
To get the action on. I agree with that critique. I mean, it didn't take anything away from me, but I agree that it is. When we heard that the movie was 2.5 hours long, we were like, oh Lord, we're gonna really be emotionally drawn. We're just gonna be through when it's all said and done. But I will say, surprisingly, for me at least, that 2.5 hours went really quickly. Like, that's not common for me. My attention span is very short. So the fact that I was right up to the end, like, not going, is it time to go home yet? Like, that for me is always a signal that I'm really enjoying myself. But I will say, there were some to your point about the action, there were some really interesting moments within the show or within the movie where there were action sequences that were super cool. It's just so interesting though that there's so many things that have been done with like stop motion in with action films and this superhero genre that it's not quite as revolutionary as it used to be, but it's still they still managed to do some pretty cool things, I think, in this particular film with like M'Baku and some other stuff. There were some cool moments there.
I love the water bombs, like when the things man, because they go in slow motion. There's these incredible water bombs. It's
Can we talk about Namor?
Oh yeah.
I have never loved a villain more, y'all, except maybe Killmonger. I mean, who, spoiler alert, shows up in the movie. I totally was shocked by that. Were you shocked by that?
I was. So I first, so I kept saying like, it's not gonna be her mama in the chair, and it can't be Chadwick Boseman. Who is it? And then I was like, oh, there it is. And
I honestly thought it might have been her father, like legit.
Right. Is John Kanai still alive? Right.
I don't know.
I need to Google that. That's a Google.
I haven't heard that he's passed. So I would presume
he's up there, and he's a bad man.
Yeah.
But but I loved it. Another spoiler alert once again. Michael B. Jordan showing up out the blue. That's why he's showing up at all the press events, y'all.
In the movie. People had suggested that he might be in it, but I was like, that's just wishful thinking. You're not going to actually do that. So the fact that they did, and the way in which they did it. Yeah. So again, we told y'all when we started, if you haven't seen it, you might want to turn it off and go see it. But the way in which they bring him forward, because Shuri is struggling at this point in the film. Again, spoiler alert. Queen Ramona dies. Ramona, did she have a D in her name?
I do not know.
Queen Angela Bassett. Queen Mother, after holding it down for over a year in the wake of T'Challa's death, and also sis was bad. Okay, when she brought up to the United Nations when they were trying to steal their vibranium.
Okay, so I gotta say something else. Hold on.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett fine. She's still fine. My God. I'm like, damn, Courtney B. Vance.
The whole beginning of the movie, I was staring at her shoulders. And then, of course, there's a sequence where she's swimming and trying to save someone when she's swimming. And all I kept thinking was, that woman's arms are banging. Like,
she got to be, she late 50s, early 60s by now, right?
Oh, she's in her 60s for sure.
She's fine.
Yeah, she's definitely older than 50.
And for everybody out there, whoever like women, there's so many fine women in this movie. There's so many fine black women in this movie.
They all got on skin tight clothes. Yeah, standing at an angle.
I'm sitting there like, all right.
Do some more squats. You got it going over.
So to go back on what Kim was saying, so basically, it becomes a story about vengeance, right? Because if the Namor invades the kingdom, basically, plot in general is that they find vibranium somewhere in the sea. But everybody thought that vibranium was just in Rwanda, but it turns Wakanda, not in Rwanda.
Not a real place, sir.
Don't want no colonizers go there, but they will. So they find more vibranium in the middle of the ocean, and it's underneath this other land, which is I forget the name of it.
Civilization.
Yeah, something that resembles like Atlantis.
We don't mispronounce it.
But I like the mixture of this land, which is kind of like ocean Atlantis, but also has a lot of
Mayan and Aztec influences.
It's really well done and really looks nice. Anyway, they find vibranium under there. They basically, the leader there, Namor, comes to Wakanda and says, yo, we need y'all help. And if you don't come help us, then y'all are enemies. Y'all
if you're not for us, you against us.
And he's a straight up, first of all, the actor, I don't know the actor's name. Brilliant, really good.
Yeah, I gotta look him up because he was amazing.
I also like that he wasn't like ridiculously cartoonishly buff, like not in the Rock sense. No shade on the Rock. But
I feel like that he wasn't a ridiculous like handlebar mustache twirling villain. Like he was the one. I don't mean to cut you off, but there was one thing about this one and the last one that I think Ryan Coogler has done so brilliantly. He makes the so-called villain very compelling because you understand their point of view.
The villain has a point, right?
We were looking at Killmonger going, I can't understand brother's frustration. And if you remember, at the end of the first Black Panther, T'Challa does come around and recognize that some of what Killmonger was saying was true.
Right.
So it was interesting. And Shuri basically has that same type of experience where she realized the same way in which she's fighting to save her people from being, overtaken by this outside force. That's the exact same thing that he's doing. So it's really compelling in how I think they set up the stakes of that. Of you keep, at least for me, I kept changing my mind about I knew I was on the side of the Wakandans, but I was like, but I also understand what he's saying. You know what I mean? So anyway,
so the
I
government,
cut you off.
Oh no. So the government found this machine. This machine finds vibranium. That's how they found the vibranium. They're like, who built this machine? And they introduced one of my favorite storylines, which is the new Iron Woman.
Ironheart.
You're right. Who is actually a black girl. Mm-hmm. Now, I cannot wait. First of all, we know Twitter's going to say something. Why the new Iron Man, Iron Woman got to be a woman? That's what Stan Lee wrote originally.
Yeah.
It's originally in the comics that she is a black girl, a black genius.
And they have been mentioning, they've been teasing out that she was coming and that she would, she was going to be introduced in this. And I think she's going to have like a Disney Plus series, right? Specifically around her. So,
and the girl is great.
She's great.
Really, really good, really personable. And so it becomes Namor, the bad guy's like, I want to kill that girl. And of course, everybody Wakanda, Shuri's like, we got to go save her. Right. So by them saving her, Namor's like, all right, then Wakanda, y'all done. Right. And they come in and do this one of these scenes where it's one of those scenes that the good guy's not going to die, but they push it so far to the edge.
The stakes are so high.
Oh, wait, this might be. It reminded me of what do you call it? The Winter Soldier, Captain America, where for a minute you're like, is Captain America gonna die?
Right.
That's what this was. They pushed it right to the edge, which was cool. And then after that, that's when we get into the scene where what do you call it? After Namor blows up Wakanda, kills Angela Bassett. I can't remember her name.
Can I just say, can we back up to that point? Because I will say, in my mind, I guess I knew that in order for Shuri to take the mantle and become queen, that her mother would have to die. But I was shocked when that happened. I was like,
oh yeah. Seriously, I was honestly surprised.
And so that's why that was what made me cry harder than anything else in the movie, because I was surprised by her death. I was like, wait, what's happening?
It was a good move. It's a good plot device.
It was.
Because then it becomes Shuri's full of rage. She's angry that basically everybody around her's dying. Right. Yeah. So she's full of rage and vengeance. So when she they recreate the flower that gives you the powers of the Black Panther, and then she goes to the astral plane, the ancestral plane. When she goes to the ancestral plane, you get there and you're thinking that you're going to meet up with, somebody inspirational, and Killmonger's there. And it is dope because Michael B. Jordan's leaning on all of vengeance. He's like, yo.
He's so into it.
Right. And the thing is, once again, he has a point. You're sitting up there like, yeah, I get it. Your whole family's dead. What you going to do? You should do it my way.
You going to keep being noble and let your people die left and right? Yeah.
It's really well done. It's dope.
The stakes, they do a good job of raising the stakes because we know the family that T'Challa comes from. We see his mother still being gracious. Even when folks come to attack them to get their vibranium, she goes to the UN. She was like, we ain't even gonna kill y'all people. We're gonna bring them back to y'all. But don't try to forget, right? So she's already showing us that they believe in being gracious and giving people a second chance. But sure, by the time this happened, she's like, listen, y'all have taken everything from me. I ain't got nothing left. I'm gonna burn all of this down.
And the best thing, like with Shuri, like she starts to have these scenes when they're like, basically everybody else is coming to her like, hey, we need to think about this. She's like, nah, burn it all down. We killing everybody. And Letitia Wright,
she's so good.
She carries this movie.
She does.
She's really, really damn good. Like it's no stretch of imagination whatsoever that she is
to believe that people would follow her as a leader. She really can we speaking of leaders, deny.
First of all, she's fine. But
she's beautiful. She's beautiful. But can I just say, I will say I loved her so much in the first Black Panther. Obviously, she was amazing in the first Black Panther. But because I know so much of her other work outside of Black Panther, I'm always looking to see her be able to dig into something meaty. And they gave her a great storyline with this. And I don't think I'm gonna spoil that particular part of the movie because it's just so. Well, look, I done already told him Andrew Best, so I guess you don't.
Dude, we told the Michael B. Jordan.
we did. I was like, I done told him everything else. But no, so when again, spoiler alert, y'all. If y'all still listening, this on y'all at this point.
You imagine somebody sitting there listening angry, like, I don't believe they continue to spoil this.
But no, spoiler alert. She is in her same role. She's the general of the Dora Milaje, and Shuri, she convinces the queen to let her take Shuri on a mission, and on that mission Shuri gets kidnapped by Namor and his folks, and the queen is hot because Shuri's all she has left, and she strips Denai's character, she strips I always forget her name.
You don't know any of the names. This sounds like This sounds like an episode of Drunk History.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was sitting here thinking, I bet our audience thinks we haven't had anything to drink, y'all.
I don't drink till the weekends. Yeah. It's a Thursday.
I mean, it's Thursday, but that particular moment is, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper, but that particular moment is so compelling because she has given her life to Wakanda, like literally, and in the scene there, she's like, I'm threatened my own husband for Wakanda, like literally have told my husband, I will cut you down for Wakanda, and now you're stripping me, saying that I'm not worthy, and that just so
two things I learned. Two things I seen. First of all, Angela Bassett showed some chops with the speech, which was really good.
Did. Yeah,
she was excellent. And also, Daniel Kaluuya's character is apparently somewhere down in a dungeon somewhere. Still.
Well, I didn't think he was in a dungeon. It sounded like he had run off somewhere, like into hiding or something.
When she said something about him, you can go down there and be with him or something. She said that.
So I think, but someone before that said he went off somewhere, and she basically was saying he's still alive. Like, in other words, you could go be with him, not necessarily go be. That was my interpretation. But when we see it again, we can actually.
Yeah, I thought he's in jail. I was like, dang, Daniel Kaluuya just down
Regardless,
in jail.
he ain't around. Is the point. Yeah. But again, the fact that she literally sacrificed everything to be able to serve, Wakanda, and to have that taken away. Of course, she gets to redeem herself in some form or fashion. But that was tough. But it also, and I think we kind of knew this going into it, especially the way in which the advertising and the marketing was set up, which is, in the first one, we knew that Black Panther was surrounded by all these dope women, and it was cool and it was there. But these women in this second movie, y'all, they show up and they really just take this to a whole nother level.
This is a movie about Black women.
It absolutely is.
It is a movie about Black women. I completely think that. And once again, props to Ryan Coogler for just jumping all 1,000% in, not letting them recast it and saying, we're going to make this about, we got strong women actors. Let's use these strong women actors.
Absolutely.
And what's my girl's name?
Michaela Cole.
Oh no, the other one. Before Lupita.
Oh, Lupita, yeah.
And Lupita was once again brilliant,
showing off her Mexican heritage, flowing in Spanish. I was like, look out, girl.
And also, she fine. I'm just good.
She is beautiful.
There's so many fine Black women.
I just say, I have to say, spoiler alert again, y'all. I actually was surprised. I wasn't surprised once I saw the little boy walking towards them, but prior to that, it never occurred to me that would be a twist.
Wait, because we haven't given the whole end of the movie yet.
Okay,
we haven't gotten to the end.
Sorry.
So tell us
what happens, y'all, when we don't have no outlines.
So tell us what happens at the end of this movie. So big battle starts. Go.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say the battle sequence is awesome.
Dope.
Like I won't say it was quite as thrilling to me as the first big battle in Black Panther, but it's very interesting because of the water element to it.
Right.
And I have to say, I dug I don't want to call them the villain people, but the opposition. I really enjoyed. First of all, I love their costuming. I loved, and I also loved, again, Ryan Coogler does just such a great job of humanizing folks, right? Like not just making this about a comic book. And that's why I get so annoyed when people like James Cameron take these digs, because I was like, you clearly haven't watched some of these movies. Some of these movies have some heart in them, right? Like all of them aren't cheesy.
Right. They have some bad ones, but the majority of them are really, really, really well done. But I love the opposition. I love that, first of all, they rule the sea. Mm-hmm. And so the last scene takes place in the ocean. So the first thing I'm thinking is like, how are they going to win when you have somebody who breathes underwater? I figured that out though. I didn't figure him out, but I did assume that his people, because if you notice, they kind of had the mask. And my thought was, if they can find a way for them to not have oxygen, right, the mask, then they could. So I thought they were going to do that to the soldiers, not necessarily to him. Right. But that was dope. Yeah. But it's just dope watching them take over the ship and the battle, of course, getting to the very end where the one criticism I had was as they're fighting on the ship and the blue people, the water people are winning, they're getting to the very end. And that's when, meanwhile, Shuri's fighting Namor. And they're having an all-out epic battle. And one of those battles is so great. And I love that they let the girl fight and it'd be even.
And fought for real. Like he was punching her. I was like, fight for real.
She getting stabbed. Yeah. It's like, oh my God. but she wins the fight in the end. Of course she
Mhm.
does, in the most brutal and dramatic of fashions.
Yeah.
And she spares
Yeah.
his life. She fights back
Mhm.
the vengeance. She hears Michael B. Jordan's voice in her
She
ear.
does just
And
what T'Challa did in the
right.
same exact scenario.
She shakes it off. Here's her mother, brings
Mhm.
back. But it's funny is as they come back together, this is what I thought was a little corny. They come back together and you see them on the ship. Meanwhile, all the good guys are down to like 12 people.
Right.
And everybody's like coming and they're like, stop. We've decided that
the war's over. And
the war's
like, okay,
over.
cool.
And I'm sitting there like, ain't half of Wakanda dead? Like, we're all looking. There's like 1,000 of y'all. Now it's like 12.
Yeah, I will say that I liked and I understood the resolution, and I was glad that was the resolution. But I did feel like I was like, and I get it. You also the movie's 2.5 hours long. Right. They can't take a whole long time. But I was like, this is kind of corny, y'all. It's like, everybody, we're not fighting anymore. We're friends, and it's like, okay.
Well, my big complaint was just that there should have been more people. There should have been more Wakandans. They're like, yeah, the fight's done. I was like, oh, well, because 10 of us left. We're glad he stopped it before he killed everybody.
Oh my gosh.
So fight's resolved. Shuri's at peace. Mm-hmm. You see Wakanda being put back together. You see that Namor's land is also being put back together. Mm-hmm. There's a hint that we'll see Namor again. He's like, hey, Wakanda needs you. I'll be there. Everybody's cool.
I will say though, I was not 100% sure if that was genuine at the end. It sounded to me like we're going to do this because at the end of the day, they're gonna need us. And like initially it sounded like, oh no, they're our allies. And then it sounded like, all right.
I got the feeling more
that keep your enemies closer.
I get the feeling that he's still crazy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, like they're very much like he's right. Off. Because even when he said it, I was like, there's a twist here.
I guess that's what I'm saying. It seems like they resolved it, but he could turn on them at any point, I guess is the way I'm feeling about it. That was my takeaway. Right. Yeah.
And I'll point out that Namor's way better than Aquaman, by the way. No hate on Jason Momoa, but
I love Jason Momoa, but Momoa.
yeah.
We're tired.
Momoa is Momoa, right? We don't know nobody's names.
And we're offending a lot of people. We're destroying a lot of names. We should have had phonetic spelling before we did this.
Right. So now everything's in peace. Everything's cool. Mm-hmm. They're gonna do the official Black Panther ceremony, which I thought was about to happen. They're doing a big Black Panther ceremony, and everybody doing like this. So then the ship comes down, and you're expecting Shuri to come out, and M'Baka comes out and says that he wants to challenge. We're like, wait, M'Baka comes out. Why are you there? M'Baka by Winston Duke, who is really good.
So great. He's so great.
And comic relief, but it's like he's comic relief. Also, though, he became like kind of an advisor. Like he became her.
He's like advisor, a surrogate big brother to her. Yeah.
Right. Which is a dope. I love the dope transition there. So we go away from and we go down to Haiti where Lupita's character has been hanging out for the last 6
or 7 years. Yeah.
And I've been wondering all the movie because I had no idea why has she been hanging out for 7 years.
I was thinking that
hanging out for 7 years.
I remember at the end of the last movie, she did tell T'Challa, my job is to be out in the world helping people. So I wasn't surprised that she was gone, but I was surprised she wasn't at the funeral. And even I could justify, because I was like, I can get that. That was the love of her life. It was probably too hard for her, but I'm gonna let you finish with where you were going with why she was gone for 6 or 7 years.
No, that's you. You explain who the little boy. You brought the little boy in. Explain who the little boy. You're right.
So, and this was the other moment in the movie where I really did bawl, like bawl. Both when Shuri goes to the beach to burn her funeral clothes, and you see the flashbacks of her, and it's her and T'Challa, but it's really Letitia Wright and Chadwick, and that cut me up. I was already like cutting onions. So then Lupita and the character comes down, Nakia comes down with this little boy, and she introduces him to Shuri and says, "This is your aunt." And we're like, huh? Well, so apparently T'Challa and Nakia had a baby boy. And actually what he says is, because he says, I heard you're good at keeping secrets. And Shuri's like, I'm great at keeping secrets. He was like, Tucson is my Haitian name, but my real name is T'Challa, like T'Challa's son. What is it? Son of the King T'Challa. Well, anyway, he's T'Challa Jr., basically.
T'Challa, the boy T'Challa Jr.
I cried. First of all, I was so happy, and then I just cried. I was like, it was just a beautiful way.
So at the time, I'm sitting in front of Kal Island. We can hear there's lots of waterworks going on.
Yeah, I was terrible. It was so bad. I had lint in my eyes from like, I had tissue, I was wiping my eyes and I had lint in my eyes for like 5 minutes. I was like, I cannot get this lint out of my eyes. Yeah, but no, I thought that was so beautiful. And it also gave Shuri some closure. It gave her some, and gave her more family. Cause that was the thing that was so hard for her, was like, she literally had everything taken away from her. And so to see little T'Challa, a piece of her brother out in the world, and to be there with Nakia, who's like a sister to her, it was a beautiful way to bring the story. And then when Rihanna started singing, I was really done. I was like, I can't take it.
Is it the little boy sounds and kind of looks like the little boy who talks about corn? You see the meme of the little boy does corn, loves corn. I was like, for a second, I'm like, that's not the little boy. But boy made the come up. Yeah. One thing we jumped over. Well, not to me, it's my second favorite thing in the movie. So after my favorite thing in the movie was the Marvel stamp of Chadwick. But as Siri's sitting on the beach right before the little boy comes, she burns her funeral garments, and you see her look off the sunset, and then he starts showing flashes of Chadwick from the last movie. Yeah, and my God, this is like you.
That's the moment I was saying that it even though it's T'Challa and Shuri. For us, it's Letitia and Chadwick. It's like,
and it's so well done. And I've heard the comments sometimes from people. I've heard, especially from white people, but I've heard the comment that, like, Black Panther was an okay movie. It was a good movie, and I think writing wise, it was a good movie. I don't think it's the best Marvel movie at all, but I think they constantly forget the moment that it was for Black people.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, it was
a cultural phenomenon.
It is the most unapologetically Black superhero movie that we've ever seen. Right. But I mean, it's so, like, I'm just going from like the casting and like even the little boy having big lips, because Black people have big lips. Like
I'll take it a step further, going back even to the first one, to Chadwick's walk. Right. That's so Black. He's walking like every Black man you ever met.
And this Shaft, baby. It's like,
but that's not something, to your point, that we would have seen 20 years ago. And he would have had to be straight-laced and looked like the boy next door, so to speak. He does look like the boy next door to you and me.
Right.
So yeah.
And it just goes, and I love how Marvel goes out of the way to say, that Wakanda is the most powerful nation on the earth. Yep. Like it is,
and they don't back down from that. Yeah.
Not at all. In this movie, they reinforce
that. Yeah.
There's one point where the government's like, the American government. I was about to say the white government. The American government was talking about, we might have to go to war with Wakanda, and then people are like the other people in the government, like, do you really want to do that?
Like, I don't think you want to do that.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah. Now, one thing I wasn't clear on when the movie was wrapping, and we did find out, we got a teaser at the end that Black Panther will return, so we will see Shuri again, for sure. But one of the things, Jamal, I'm having that moment where I was like, I was talking about something, I forgot. Y'all, that's been happening to me a lot. Jamal blames it on the my Snoop Dogg.
Interesting.
I really don't remember where I was going. Oh
well,
it'll come back later.
It is up in smoke, as they would say.
No, what I will say is there was a lot to appreciate. The music, the clothes, of course. Ruth Carter always does such an amazing job. The choreography of the funeral procession in the beginning very much reminded me of how it felt when we went to go see Coming to America in the theaters for the first time, and seeing that opening dance. That, again, when we talk about a big cultural moment, it was that same type of feeling of, look at us. Look at us on the screen looking amazing. And so that funeral procession brought back that kind of feeling to me of how it felt when you see these folks being celebrated and honored. It was pretty cool.
I was loving Black all over the world, because like it's nothing like, I just love seeing, like you said, the funeral procession. I love when they went to Haiti for a second. You can see Black people speaking French. It just reminds us that, it reminds us of the beautiful gumbo that we are, right? That is like, to be Black is more than just this American experience.
Absolutely.
It's world experience.
And I also like, and I will say, it's obvious that, Marvel makes an effort to be as inclusive as possible, but one of the things that I think Ryan Coogler, and I keep giving him so much props for this, because again, he did such a great job in the first one, but also in this one, of taking people who have been oppressed and giving them a voice, like giving them a platform, because everything Killmonger said was right. Like he was not wrong in terms of like people being abused, being abandoned, being, exploited, all of those things. So his perspective, even with the Namor character and his group of people, bringing in what it was like for Native folks when white folks came onto this land and started basically murdering them. They all died from, smallpox. And so to see that, and also to see when he came back and to see now they've enslaved all these people on our land. Like it was really compelling to see what was the motivation behind his anger and his vengeance, right? Like it wasn't just, I woke up one day and I was evil. And certainly there have been compelling villains in the past, but this, again, the same type of DNA from Killmonger, you understand what's driving him. You're like, I kind of get it.
Right.
So,
and they do a great job of basing it in history. Like, very much like, it's like, oh, that really did happen. We're putting this fictional story in a real situation. Yeah. Like you see a slave master whipping people, and the Namor comes up as a kid, is like, nope. Yep. We're gonna stop this right now.
I even thought it was dope how when they explain how he got his name. Even though I'm not gonna tell that one, but I thought that was dope too. So
it's brilliant, man. Yeah. It was really, really well done. Is there anything we forgot? I'm trying to think.
That's what I was like. I'm going back through in my head. I was like, so we had to, because look, I know. Oh, you know what else was cool?
What?
All the new science, this new technology. One of the things I love, because Shuri, even from the first movie, Shuri's a scientist, right? She's an engineer. She makes stuff. And I appreciate how even in the first movie, if you remember, like there was a lot of conflict between her and the elders, because she's ready to progress, to be progressive, and they are, in her mind, just being held back by these traditions or whatever that are outdated. But and I think it sets up for an interesting dynamic, which is very relevant to us as Black people today, right? Which is, how do you advance and progress, but still hold on to your heritage and still hold on to your traditions and honor those things without just throwing them to the side? Because all of it isn't, there's a lot more there to keep going than to take apart, right? So that was interesting to me.
Well, it's funny. I'm gonna take this conversation a little different direction. Mm-hmm. I was having a conversation with a friend. I've heard this a few times, where I was having a conversation with a friend where he was like, he made the statement that Black people don't have a culture, and dead serious. Yeah, that we don't have that there's no culture.
Black people like you and I,
right? Like we don't like that. There's no culture attached to us. And I couldn't understand it. And I've heard this phrase a few of the, usually comes from this guy was not a conservative, but usually comes from Black conservatives, where they're like, well, part of their beef with Black America is that it's not based in a culture. And then they immediately go into like, insert a stereotype here of Black characters that we don't want to talk about, the perceived cousins that we don't want to talk about or whatever. And of course I know what you think about that notion, but what do you think about that when somebody who actually thinks that
we don't have culture?
Right. Like I remember Denzel Washington talking about it during Fences, when he was trying to explain the genius of August Wilson. He compared it to he was comparing it to the hot cone. Like that's a uniquely Black experience. Like,
absolutely.
As I close my eyes and I can smell.
You can smell what it tastes like. Smell what it tastes like.
Smell what it tastes like.
You can smell it. You can smell the oil in your hair, the grease in your hair. You can, Right.
Yeah. So I got worried, not worried, but in the sense of just like,
it disturbed you.
It disturbed me in the sense that like when I walk on the street and I see a young Black man, I'm like, yo, like it's the head nod. It's the what's up. It's like,
that's what it was about. So you asked me how I felt about it. Right. So here's my thing. I think pretty much so much of American culture is Black culture.
Right.
I think the reality is that when you have to think about how we came here, right?
Right.
We had to suppress a lot of our culture. So we hid a lot of stuff in other people's culture. Like, don't roll your eyes, because I'm not talking about some spiritual stuff, but
here we go. I'm playing with you.
No. Even our religious practices, right? We had religious practices in Africa that when we got here, we were told were evil. So then we started hiding them. We hided them in Catholicism. We hided them in other things. So that's how you get Santeria. That's how you get voodoo, all those things. So what happened was, it's not that we don't have culture, it's that we were our culture. They tried to take our culture away from us. And so we started hiding it in places. So much so that now our culture is woven into the fabric of this country, and everybody benefits from it. So when you see white kids listening to hip hop, We did that. When you see jazz artists, we did that. All of that is our culture. You benefited from it.
And that's the point that I was making, because like he kept saying like, well, that's just style. I said, no, man. I said, it is style.
Yeah.
And it came from us. We created the style.
It came from us.
Right.
It's head wraps. Like when black women who were enslaved were in Louisiana, and they had this beautiful natural hair, the white women they didn't like that. So they forced them to wrap their hair. We turn that shit into a fashion, a fashion statement. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. So it's not style. It is what we add to it. It is our unique flavor and essence that we add to it that nobody else has. And every culture has that. Every community has something that is unique and special and different about them. The difference is that Black culture is often adopted and extracted by so many other people. And then people are like, y'all don't have a culture. Yes, we do. Y'all are just hijacking it.
What did Outkast say? Take whatever's tasty, water it down, and then swallow. They just water down and coach. But like, there's so many things that pop in my head. It's like the smell of going into a Baptist church. The grandmama putting Vaseline on your face. It's these little things that are like
uniquely Black.
Yeah, they're uniquely Black, and they are cultural. That's culture.
Absolutely, it is. I think, and the part of it is, I think, and not to just kind of belabor this point, but I do think that we have again. There was this attempt to shame us of our culture. So even what you're saying, like, so those Black conservatives that you're talking about, they're like, we don't have culture. They know what it tastes like. They know what it smells like when greens are cooking in the house. They know what it's like, to your point, when your grandma's like, I'm gonna get that switch off. They know what that is, but they want to disassociate with that because there's shame attached to it that they've decided is shameful, right? When that's not the case. Like, so
to come back around to it, when we're talking about this culture here, the reason Black Panther is so big to us is because there's that thing that we see that very often is not done and done in a way that is actually genuine.
It's not authentic. It's not real.
You can feel it coming off the screen. There's this authentic world culture that is like, oh, that's Black, man. That's Black for real.
Because when it's not real, we all have the same. We're all grown. We all
right.
We turn into the kids on the stoop on Spike Lee movies. Oh man,
that's from Do the Right Thing, by the way. Y'all should watch that movie.
That also happens in Mo Better Blues.
Oh yeah, it does. It does that movie.
When Abby Lincoln goes out there and yells at those kids, get down. But yeah, man, I mean, I think again, I keep going back to when the first Black Panther, not even when it came out. When the trailer came out, the trailer came out on a weekend. I was working at Disney at the time. I went into work on that Monday. I was in a two things. I was like, one, this movie is about to be something y'all ain't never seen. Black folks are here for it. And they were like, really? I was like, I wish y'all could have seen my social media timeline this weekend. So that was the first thing I said. And then the second thing I said, I was like, prepare yourselves, because I'm gonna be the Blackest version of myself y'all have ever seen. I was like, I'm gonna be straight up Black. I was like, I just need y'all to. I told them that every time somebody mentioned Black Panther, I was like, just so y'all know, I'm gonna be Black. Just be. And I was. So much so, like, I had friend. We did like a group of folks. We went to the movies together. I had a white girlfriend. She's literally my friend, y'all. I feel like sometimes I need to be clear. She's literally my friend. But I had a white girlfriend who was like, oh, get dressed. I was like, oh girl, it's at the time. Don't do it, sis. I said, if you want to show solidarity, just wear all Black. Just wear all black. Because she had like this African print. I was like,
no,
don't do it. I was like, don't do this. I was like, not tonight.
In general, don't do the Pelosi kente cloth. Don't do it. Don't you do it. It's not. Even if your friends ask you to do it, don't do it. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
Yes, it's awful. See, I was her friend. I cared enough about her to be like, sis, you don't want to do it this weekend.
Oh, one more thing. And you touched on a little bit. The soundtrack is spectacular. The score is spectacular. It is there's no, sometimes you have scores where music comes out of nowhere. Like, why is that happening? It is so organic to the movie.
It's also very eclectic. He made a point to like pull from all of the different cultures that are represented. You hear like things that feel like they might have been in the Mayan culture. You hear things from different, even Haiti. Like you're hearing all of these different cultures, and that for me, I completely agree. The music was dope.
Really, really, really was.
Ryan Coogler actually co-wrote the lyrics to the song that Rihanna sings.
Did not know that.
I noticed it in the credits. That's the only reason I knew that. But it makes sense when you think about it. Like the words were so, I mean,
right, man.
I can't imagine how emotional that must have been for him writing that, because it was, I mean, it was emotional for me watching it. I wish y'all could have seen my goddaughter's face. She was like, it is really not that deep.
Yeah, there's a lot. Oh Lord.
But I cry the drop of a hat. It takes nothing. I cry at commercials. So
yeah, see, for me, it takes the right combination of things, and like usually, but the minute the Chadwick all silence thing is like,
I was gonna say the silence is what does it. They make you were talking about the music, just understanding the power of silence.
Right.
Even that, like, yeah.
I think that's the first time I watched them since what do you call it? What's the movie? Power Rangers Black Bottom.
Oh yeah.
Which if you haven't seen, I've seen people give that bad reviews.
Really?
Y'all shut the because people don't know what the hell they watch.
Oh, you know why? We talked about this though. The reason why is because they don't understand theater.
Right.
Because it's a theatrical piece.
It's a play. It's a play on screen.
Absolutely.
If you don't understand that right off the top, you're like, why are they doing weird things? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, sir, we have now gone on 50 minutes. Because this is a special edition of the show, I don't know that we're necessarily going to do bonus content, but we were so excited to talk about this show, and we wanted to get it out to you all before everybody had seen it and spoiled it for you. We wanted to spoil it for you first.
Right.
So we're actually probably going to take a break next week, and you all can, because we not only dropped this one, but we dropped a special election night edition early. So we're probably going to chill out for a week or two here. And
just spoiler alert, democracy did not die. It came close. It came close.
I don't know. In Texas, I feel like it's on life support.
But it's always been like that. It's fine.
That's true. You're right. It's the same broken leg we have for forever.
Well, can I do it for the culture?
Yeah, of course you can.
For the culture. 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 Okay, so this for the culture is totally unrelated. But I saw it this morning. This morning I'm scrolling through Instagram as I do, and Jimmy Fallon last night had a box. It was I did not know what was going to happen. He comes on, I was like, hey, he's introducing a musical act, and the musical act is a box set, but the box set of CDs look like a record player. Like, what is this? And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Public Enemy, and then. Public Enemy came out with almost all of them. Terminator X wasn't there, and what do you call it? Flav was there. Chuck was there, and Flav introduced him. And because Flav and Chuck had beef for a minute, and then Black Thought was rapping with him. And
last night,
I think I'm about to go to YouTube and Instagram. It is dope. It was really good. And here's the thing that trips me out. And like, I mean, this is no harm. Flavor Flav is still alive. Which, for any of y'all who know Flavor Flav, is a miracle. Flavor Flav is alive because he's done a lot of drugs and a lot of ignorant things,
and for a long time.
But here's another thing: Flavor Flav looked great.
Really,
he looks really good. Like, I mean, skin glowing and everything. I was like, "What'd you do, Flav?"
Himself now.
It was good
because you know what, that actually makes sense. If he's taking care of himself and in a better place, that makes sense that he would be able to reconcile, because Chuck D was not here for it. He was like, you on some foolishness.
It was about a good few years. Chuck was like, nah,
he was like, I'm done with this. So that makes me think that he must be in a better place.
Yeah, and Flav did most of the talking. He's doing all the hype man stuff, and it is a good performance. It is dope. It is dope.
So when I get off of here, that's my next move, is to go see that.
I'll send you the video.
Please do. Oh my God, I love Chuck D. When I was in New York, Chuck D had, he was a radio program in New York. Right. Yeah, I love him. And of course, he has a DJ voice. So I mean,
and for those who don't know, once again, some Black culture stuff. Chuck D, in as far as voices in hip hop goes, he's something different. He's in a category.
I love him.
But to me, he's in a category all of his own.
That's true. He's like Black Thought in that way.
Right.
Think about it. They're like outside. You can't even put them in a box in a category with everybody else, because they're so different.
Yeah. And he's almost like a preacher sometimes, the way the power of his voice. So like, so I hold the highest reverence for Chuck D forever. He's a great dude.
Yeah, Chuck D is the man. And honestly, he's also somebody that I had a crush on since I was like 10. But maybe because of the voice, but I also, because he's just, I dig strong, smart Black men. I just think that that's so cool to me.
Well, so tomorrow the whole box set drops or whatever. Of course, you can get it streaming there. They go ahead and play some Public Enemy, man. If you don't know about Public Enemy, you got to get up in there.
Oh yeah. Don't make us have to educate y'all on PE. Come on, man.
Welcome to the Terror Dome. Let's go.
Absolutely. What is it? Fear of a Black Planet? Start with that.
Black Planet. Yeah. Go for it.
Absolutely. I'm glad you had it for the culture because I was ready to sign off. I forgot. Look, I feel like Black Panther is always for the culture. So,
oh man.
Well, Jamal, I'm really excited we got to see the film. I'm excited we got to share with our audience. We would love to hear from you all. If you went to go see Black Panther this past weekend, what you thought, if you agreed with our feelings and our assessment, or if you completely disagree, we'd love to hear either way. And of course, you can always drop us a line and let us know if you have a viewer topic you want us to bring up on the show. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook at Chief Disruptor Productions. And of course, you can always see the video version of the show on our YouTube channel at Chief Disruptor Productions. So check it out. So Jamal, let's wrap this up and say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good week. We'll see y'all later.
Still fuck Clarence Thomas.
Whatever We Want with J and K is produced by Chief Disruptor Productions, with post-production support by Lee George. To see the video version of this episode of Whatever We Want with exclusive extended content, be sure to subscribe to @Chief Disruptor Productions on YouTube. Stay up to date when we post new content by subscribing to the show on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, and most podcast streaming platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Chief Disruptor Productions and share your recommendations for viewer topics. See y'all next week. Peace.